Hello, good morning and welcome back to Visit Fylde Coast. I'm in a little bit of a dappled, sunny, shady spot here at the moment, so apologies. Apologies for the moving target. But I've had to move. I've been sat on this bench here and it's boiling. It's only 9 o'clock. I'm meeting somebody this morning, so I thought I'd just pop out and do this while the sun's on the garden, because this bench is only in the sun sort of early in the day. So last week, the last video that you saw was the worst news. So I thought today we'd do a follow-up of where do I go from here? Because obviously loads of you have commented and you've given me some really good ideas and some really good feedback. So I really, really appreciate that. So that's what we're going to do today. This is part two. This is part two. So I've made a few notes and then I can refer to them and I can make sure that I don't miss anything off. But before we get into that, don't forget to make sure that you're subscribed. Don't forget to make sure that you've hit the little bell for notifications. And don't forget to make sure that you've got all your notifications enabled, because it looks like that's one of the biggest problems that people are getting. Loads of you have said that you'd watched my videos for a long time and then all at once I just disappeared. And it looks like some of you have become unsubscribed. How on earth that's happened, I've got no idea. Some of you are just not getting notifications at all. I think a lot of you have not got your notifications enabled. So that's kind of a big part of the problem why people are not seeing stuff. So, the title of the video that I did last week, The Worst News ? I suppose really it is clickbait, but it was actually a question. Should the worst news be the title of the videos that I'm putting out? And I think unanimously you've all answered that question and said pretty much exactly the same thing. It did work. The title of the video did work. They were just short of 10,000 views in a couple of 3 days. And most of our videos lately have been clocking sort of 2, 3, 4, 5,000 depending on the subject. So that just proves that it does work, and if you use a better title, it does make people look and it does make people's curiosity piqued. But there were loads of vlogs, people saying that they liked my vlogs and not to change anything. Well, the good news is, we've had the worst news. The good news is I'm not intending changing anything in the videos at all. I never intended changing the videos. It was just about how to get people to see them. So you can rest assured on that score. But it is disheartening when I kind of stick to my principles and I try not to be sensationalist or rude or focusing on bad things all the time. And it doesn't do you any favours. It doesn't help my channel. It doesn't help my channel to grow. And I have to say, I do get fed up. I mean, a few people thought that I was going to say that I'd packed in and I was going to stop doing vlogs. And it's crossed my mind from time to time, I'll be honest, because it's disheartening. It's disheartening when you're spending a lot of time. I mean, I'm wincing. I've got myself spragged in a bit of a comfortable position. But it turns out I've got a trapped nerve in my back, which is what's giving me the pain down my left leg. And it's agony. And I'm walking about in agony with a bad leg, making videos, and then, 2,000 people see it out of almost 16,000 subscribers, and it's disheartening. You can understand how I feel. But I think the thing I did take away from it is that everybody needs to get your notifications enabled. So I've looked at that this morning, and there's 2 things that I think you need to do. First of all, actually on your phone, so go to your notification centre, and actually on your phone there's a notification setting, and make sure that you've got YouTube enabled. Believe it or not, I'd not actually got YouTube enabled, so I wasn't getting any notifications from anybody that I'm subscribed to. And then when you've done that, go to my channel, go to Visit Fylde Coast, and click on where the little bell is, where it says subscribed, and set notifications to all instead of personalised. And I'll keep repeating that for anybody that misses this video, because obviously that's the trick to making sure that you find out what's actually happening. So the comments that you'd shared and that you'd put out were really good. And a lot of them were really, really useful. You know what it's like? This is Homer's just landed above me. He's on the garage, literally right above my head. So if he starts yarping, we might have to just have a little intermission in proceedings. So you know what it's like when you've got your own business and you just can't see the wood for the trees. Everybody else can see stuff and it's obvious to them. But to you, it's like, oh, I never thought of that. So there were quite a few I never thought of that moments. So I've highlighted a few, so I'll read a few of them out. So Who4548 said, I watched your video on the new car park, that's the central car park, and found it very informative. And because of this, the worst news video has come up for one to watch. Like all the other comments say, please don't go down the clickbait route. It's totally off-putting and puts me personally off watching the video. Oh, and I've just liked and subscribed to your channel as well, so keep up the good work. So thanks for that, Hoo. Kelly M6688 says, and I need to try to be more catchy. And I think she's got a point there. So she says, like, for example, if I'm doing a food review and there's loads of food, I put in the title, I just couldn't do it. And if I've got a phrase that I've used within the title, if I've said something, like so, that's my favourite word, isn't it? So, if I've said something, use that as a title if it's particularly catchy, rather than a basic spade is a spade description. Everybody's commented that with me, a spade is a spade, and it is. I can't say any other. Our lovely little Alan, which is one of our volunteers, said, my videos are unique and one of a kind. I think you've got a point there, Alan. There's only one of me, isn't there? And Malkbury 9739 says, I get what you're saying, but to be perfectly honest, I started following you because of your cheery, positive, enthusiastic outlook. My videos are always informative and honest. There are enough vloggers ready to do the area down, so you are a breath of fresh air. Thank you. Ronald 48 says, use a neutral statement on the video title, like my food review, you will be shocked. Now to me that feels like clickbait. But he made some really good points as well, so I'll look for that, Ronald. XXQQ5719 says, perhaps like Agatha Christie, you need to stage your own disappearance or a similar stunt and become well known. I feel well known enough as it is. Ryan Dunbar 6507 says, it's more clickbait that's needed, like if ambulance sirens are heard in the video, the title could be Emergency Services to the Rescue. Pauline Fraser 4097 says, try curious rather than negative. And Stephen H641 says, try more live streams and you will get more viewers. The reason, just as an aside, the reason why I've not been doing many live streams lately is because I haven't got the confidence in the internet connection in this area. It's been awful lately. It's been really pants. And it just drops out. It just drops out. So if you're sort of walking up and down and you're trying to talk to people and all at once it just goes, that to me feels like bad form. But let me know what you think. If that bothers you, pop a comment underneath. Or if you're not bothered and you're quite prepared for it to come back on, and just sit and wait a minute, just pop a comment underneath. Paul Burton 9386 says, integrity means more than higher ratings. Good man. David GPS 95 says, there are too many negative videos about Blackpool and you're right, they get more views than the positive ones. But I hate the YouTubers who do the negative videos because it's having a negative effect on tourism in Blackpool. The only problem is that social media algorithms are geared to promote negativity, and that's the kind of stumbling block that I'm coming up against. Blaze Voptics ZZ9748 says leave the title open-ended. Michael Owen 6173 says Jane, you're the best vlogger in Blackpool. Pay you later, Michael. And Treeguard 1982 says I'm an internet auntie. I really like that one, internet auntie. That could be my new catchphrase, couldn't it? I've always found your channel to be honest, true to yourself and straight to the point. I am like an internet auntie, aren't I? Wagging my finger. And he also says quite a few channels will use clickbait and misleading titles, and they'll have somebody looking aghast in the thumbnail and it's obnoxious and off-putting. I do tend to agree. And he says that I've gone to places that you've recommended, whereas I've been sceptical of other videos that I've seen. And then user CILMT5IN5E says, leave the Love Islanders to be controversial, and I've learned so much about Blackpool via yourself, which has massively enhanced my visits. Amity Boat Tours says, and this is the crux of it, it's about playing the YouTube game a bit to increase the subscriber numbers. And that's the crux of it. That's the thing I'm struggling with. So, in conclusion, as you've all said, and you've left some really lovely comments, I'm a straight John Bull Jane. I'm a plain Jane. And I call a spade a spade. I've got a generally positive mindset most of the time. And I like to look on the bright sides of life. Always look on the bright side of life. But I think the problem I've got is that my straightforwardness and my straight spades a spade comes over in the video, but not in the title. And it's the title and the thumbnail that I need to be better to draw people in. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on how I convey that sort of meanness, that Janeness, in the title and the video to attract people that want to see that kind of content but haven't found me yet. So I'm not going to be using clickbait titles, but you can expect to see titles and videos changing a little bit to try and game the YouTube algorithm. I'm not quite sure how yet, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do, but that's kind of the conclusion that I've drawn. But I really appreciate everything that you've said. It's been really useful. There's been some really good feedback. So thanks ever so much for everybody that's taken the time to comment. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not abandoning the channel. I'm not that fed up just yet, but I've been really busy lately. I've been meeting myself coming backwards and doing all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of felt a bit like I'm flogging myself to death in every direction and just getting nowhere fast. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So expect me to feel a little bit more revived after your guidance and coaching, and we'll see what the future brings. So I printed all my notes out, so I'll be referring to all your bits and bobs of comments, and until next time, that's where we go from here, and we'll see you later. Bye for now. Toodle pip.